Internet news with no filter. Welcome to News Sesh. Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're diving into a really important topic. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about something that's been echoing around the internet for a while now. The question that comes up every few months in YouTube comment sections, Reddit threads, and nostalgic group chats. What happened to Emma Chamberlain? Where did she go? Why did she, the queen of relatable chaos, step back from YouTube, the platform that made her one of the biggest names of her generation? We're not here to gossip. We're here to analyze, or if we're being honest, maybe gossip a little about the whole Emma disappeared from YouTube situation. The burnout, the business, the branding, and the broader conversation about what happens when internet fame becomes too heavy to carry. So grab a coffee, preferably a Chamberlain coffee if you want to stay on brand, and let's unpack it. Let's rewind to the beginning. Emma Chamberlain didn't just start YouTube. She redefined what it looked like to be a YouTuber. Back in 2017, when most creators were obsessed with polished thumbnails, cinematic montages, and perfectly color-graded content, Emma came in with jump cuts, awkward zooms, and chaotic editing that somehow felt more authentic than anyone else's real-life vlogs. She was messy.
She was funny.
She was relatable before relatable became a marketing strategy. She made spilling coffee on herself look like a personality trait. And honestly, people loved it. Her videos weren't just uploads, they were events. When she posted a driving to get coffee vlog, it wasn't just a caffeine run. It was therapy for an entire generation of teenagers who were anxious, tired, and trying to figure out who they were. She built an empire out of being herself. And then, suddenly, the uploads slowed down. At first, it looked like a typical YouTuber break. You know, the classic, I just need a few weeks off situation. But the weeks turned into months. And the months turned into a full-blown hiatus. Fans started asking, did Emma quit? Is she okay? And then came her explanation, a podcast episode, a few interviews, some casual mentions. She said it simply, she was burnout. Now, I know burnout has become the buzzword of the decade, but in Emma's case, it wasn't just about being tired. It was about losing herself in the machine that made her famous. She talked about the pressure to constantly create, the need to post weekly, to stay relevant, to feed the algorithm, and how all of that sucked the joy out of something she once loved. YouTube stopped being a creative outlet and started feeling like a corporate job that never let her clock out. And the truth is, you could feel it. The later videos didn't have that same chaotic spark. They were still good, but there was a visible weight behind them. Here's where it gets complicated. Emma built her career on relatability. She wasn't just a vlogger, she was a symbol. For a while, being an Emma Chamberlain type meant being effortlessly funny, imperfect, cool without trying. She made it okay to not have everything figured out. But when your entire brand is built on authenticity, it becomes really hard to separate your real life from your online life. Fans didn't just watch Emma, they felt like they knew her. They expected constant updates, emotional transparency, a front row seat to her thoughts. And when she stopped giving that, people felt weirdly abandoned. That's the dark side of relatability. Once you sell authenticity, people expect it forever. They forget you're human. Let's be honest, YouTube is brutal. It's a treadmill that never stops. Post a video?
Great.
The algorithm says, cool, when's the next one? Take a week off? Suddenly, your analytics are tanking, your engagement drops, your audience thinks you're gone for good. Now, imagine doing that at 17. Imagine millions of people dissecting your face, your personality, your sense of humor, your body, your mental health. Then imagine trying to grow up in the middle of that. That's what happened to Emma. She's talked openly about anxiety, perfectionism, and the feeling that no matter what she did, it wasn't enough. She loved editing, but it became overwhelming. She tried hiring editors, but that made her feel disconnected from her own work. It was a lose-lose situation. Either burn out by doing everything herself or burn out by watching her creative identity slip away. So she did what few creators have the courage to do. She stopped. Now let's talk about what came next. Because Emma didn't disappear.
She just evolved.
While the internet was crying over her absence, she was quietly building a new empire, one that didn't rely on weekly uploads or algorithmic approval. Enter Anything Goes, her podcast. If you've listened to it, you know it's basically unfiltered Emma therapy. She talks about everything: self-image, mental health, creativity, growing up, but in her own time, her own format, and, most importantly, without the pressure of a camera in her face. Then there's Chamberlain Coffee, her brand. Let's be real, the girl built a caffeine empire out of her own personality. From thrift store coffee runs to her own cold brew line, she managed to turn her quirks into a full-blown business. It's genius. So no, she didn't vanish. She just changed mediums. And maybe that's what disappearing looks like in the influencer era, leaving one screen to dominate another. Here's where things get interesting. When Emma stopped posting regularly, the internet collectively lost its mind. Some fans were supportive. Take your time, queen, mental health first. Others were less kind. She's lazy. She's changed. She's sold out. It's wild how we treat creators like public property. We tell them to take breaks, but when they do, we punish them for it. And in Emma's case, people projected a lot. For some, she represented comfort during their teenage years. When she left, it felt like their own nostalgia was being ripped away. That's why her disappearance hit harder than most YouTuber breaks. It wasn't just about her. It was about what she meant to people. But that's also proof of her impact. If your absence is felt that deeply, you clearly did something right. Now let's get a little cynical, because this is commentary after all. What if Emma's disappearance wasn't just emotional, but also strategic?
Think about it.
She didn't leave in a blaze of drama. She didn't quit in a scandal. She just slowly phased out, quietly pivoting to things that gave her more creative control and more business flexibility. She took her audience's trust, built over years of authenticity, and redirected it toward her podcast and her coffee brand. That's not manipulation. That's smart. You can't vlog forever. At some point, the quirky 19-year-old in LA routine has an expiration date. And Emma knew that. She grew before the internet could force her to. So while people say she disappeared, maybe she actually just graduated. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Emma's burnout isn't a fluke. It's a symptom. YouTube has built an entire ecosystem where success depends on consistency. You don't have to be the most talented. You just have to post the most. Creators are taught to measure their worth in views, clicks, and sponsorship deals, not in creative satisfaction or mental peace. Emma stepping back forced a lot of creators to ask themselves the same question. If someone as successful as her can't handle the pressure, what chance do the rest of us have? And honestly, that's a fair question. Because this platform doesn't reward rest. It rewards burnout. And when your career is tied to how often you post, even taking care of yourself starts to feel like a luxury you can't afford. Let's talk about the relatable factor, because that's another key part of Emma's story. When she first blew up, she represented the anti-influencer. No filters, no perfect lighting, no fake smiles. She made it cool to be real. But fast forward a few years, and that kind of relatable authenticity started becoming a brand. Suddenly, everyone was trying to be the next Emma Chamberlain. Companies were hiring editors to imitate her editing style. Influencers were pretending to be awkward on purpose. Ironically, the girl who made imperfection cool accidentally created a new kind of perfectionism. So when she disappeared, part of it might have been exhaustion, not just from creating content, but from being imitated nonstop. Imagine creating something raw and personal, and then watching an entire industry try to mass-produce your personality. No wonder she needed space. Eventually, she came back, kind of. She started uploading again, but on her own terms. The new videos feel calmer, slower, more reflective. Gone are the rapid-fire edits and the constant self-deprecating jokes. Now it's about storytelling, travel, small moments, more documentary than vlog. And that's honestly refreshing. It's like watching someone who grew up in front of a camera finally take control of their own narrative. She doesn't owe the internet constant chaos anymore. If she wants to post twice a year, fine. If she never posts again, also fine. Because she's already proven her point. She doesn't need the algorithm to validate her anymore. So, What do we learn from all this? Burnout is inevitable if you never rest. Even the most passionate creators can't run on empty. You can evolve without apologizing. Changing direction doesn't make you fake. It makes you human. Boundaries are a superpower. Emma set a boundary with the internet and didn't apologize for it. That's something most creators struggle to do. Being relatable isn't sustainable forever. People grow. Life changes. What was once relatable becomes a phase.
And that's okay.
Success looks different for everyone. For some, it's views. For Emma, it's freedom. Emma Chamberlain's disappearance is really a story about modern fame. We're living in a time where people expect creators to be always on, constantly posting, constantly sharing, constantly available. But being a YouTuber isn't just filming yourself anymore. It's branding, business, and self-management. It's therapy and PR all rolled into one. And maybe the healthiest thing any creator can do is exactly what Emma did. Take a step back, reassess, and remember who you were before all the noise. The internet doesn't make that easy, but it's necessary. Here's the takeaway. Emma Chamberlain didn't disappear.
She evolved.
She didn't quit because she couldn't handle the pressure. She stepped away because she finally realized she didn't owe the internet her sanity. Her story isn't sad. It's actually empowering. She showed that you can build an empire, step away from it, and still thrive. She showed that the healthiest kind of growth sometimes happens off camera. And honestly, that's a rare kind of power. So, while fans might miss the old chaotic Emma with her thrift hauls and coffee runs, I think there's something poetic about her new chapter. It's quieter,
Calmer.
more intentional. And maybe that's the lesson. You don't have to perform your entire life for it to have value. So, yeah, maybe Emma Chamberlain disappeared from YouTube. Or maybe she just finally logged out long enough to live. Either way, she's still out there, growing, creating, thriving, and proving that you don't need a weekly upload schedule to make an impact. And honestly, that might be the most Emma Chamberlain move of all. And that's a wrap, guys. Like if you did, subscribe for more fun.
See ya.